Good morning. If you're tuning in live with us here at 7:25 a.m. Good morning to you. We hope you are doing fantastic on this Talk About It Tuesday. That's happening Tuesday. Just it's Tuesday. It is Tuesday, June 18th, 2024, and you're tuning in live here at News in Motion. Or if you're catching the replay, whether it be in the afternoon, the evening, or near the nighttime, we just want to say thank you for whatever time of day you're tuning in and supporting News in Motion. This is your first time tuning in with us. First off, welcome. Thank you for joining. News in Motion is a news media outlet with relevant commentary and call to actions. We can be found on LinkedIn, YouTube, or any audio or podcast platforms. I don't know what we're having a little bit of technical difficulties going on here. We apologize for that. But back to what I was saying. we can be found on LinkedIn, YouTube, or any audio or podcast platforms. If you have any questions at all about what News in Motion is, you can email us at newsinmotionwithgail@gmail.com. You can also find us on our website at www.gaildudley.com. We have our special guest, as you can see by our graphic, Pastor Derek Holmes. He is the pastor of Union Grove Baptist Church, and we are also preparing for Juneteenth, which is tomorrow. But before we get started, a few shout outs to our viewers. Good morning to you, Miss Shirley Nicholson. Good morning, Miss Adrian. Good morning, Miss Marian Jackson. Good morning, Miss Sardinia. And good morning, Miss Deborah Johnson. So, without further delay, let's get right into the intro.
News in Motion.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. We have no idea what that noise is, and hopefully we will get it under control sooner than later, so our apologies for that. So please, please, please forgive us. So I don't know if it's one of our emails that are coming through, our text messages, but hopefully we can get through and silence that some kind of way. So our apologies, but if it keeps happening, hey, I don't know what to tell you. What's up, everybody? I see you, Shirley Nicholson. I see you, Adrian. Adrian says, smash that like button. I see you, Marian Jackson. I see you, Sardinia. Deborah Johnson, good morning to you. And good morning, Regina Shorts. Y'all, excuse me as I get so excited. Is that happening Tuesday? When I woke up this morning, I said, this is our anniversary week, everyone. I see you, Pastor Alex Williams. This is our anniversary week. Y'all, can you believe it has been 4 years? Pastor Derek Holmes said to me in the green room, he said, how does that feel? I said, I don't even know. I said, something that started back during, we launched this during the COVID time, but it wasn't due to COVID, and how it has grown blows me away. It actually blows me away. So I'm really excited about it. A friend of mine from Oregon asked me the other day, because she watches the replay because she's 3 hours behind us. She said, she goes, how do we get this syndicated? How do we get this to the next level? So she's really excited to try to help me figure out what that looks like and how we get there, and some other things. And I said to her, so you do know, my wording is November the 5th, we'll get through the election, then we'll see where we go from there. She said, girl, you're not going nowhere. So we just kind of laugh at it. Y'all, today is Tuesday, June the 18th. 2024. I am your host, Gail Dudley, and once again, it is anniversary week, as well as today. It is That's Happening Tuesday. I'm so excited about our guest who's going to be joining us momentarily. I'm going to reserve most of the time for him, and we're going to talk about preparation for Juneteenth. So again, Isaiah, if you can pop up that heading, I have with us today Pastor Derek Holmes for That's Happening Tuesday. We're going to talk about preparing for Juneteenth, so we're really excited about that. Thank you, Isaiah. And then on tomorrow, we are going to have Heidi, who is going to join us on Juneteenth to talk about immigration. So I'm so excited to have her. She has been working the front lines on some of this, so I'm excited to have her join me on Wednesday. And then Thursday, Thursday, we're still waiting to hear, who can all join us on Thursday. But if anything else, we're going to have a celebration, of course, being our 4th-year anniversary, and we're going to talk about everything that's happened over these last 4 years with News in Motion. So I'm excited about that as well. I see you, Judy Neal. Good morning to you. All right, y'all. I'm not Kenny Stanley, but it happened last night, so I'm going to talk about it. The Boston Celtics, and I did not watch their game, okay? The Boston Celtics won the NBA championship last night at their home court, defeating the Dallas Mavericks 106-88 in what they call Game 5 of the finals. This victory is Boston's first title since 2008. And the team overall 18th title. The Boston Celtics now hold the record for most NBA championships won, surpassing the Los Angeles Lakers with 17 wins. So there's that. I see my brother pop back up in here. I see you, Dr. Antoinette. My brother said, I'm back. Good morning. He said, gold morning. I'll take the gold morning, my sister and friends. Kim Edmondson, good morning to you. Y'all, let me tell you about Kim Edmondson real quick since we're talking about some sort of sports. I thought I would it sounded like really cool to go hang out with New Salem Missionary Baptist Church on their Saturday walk at 7:30 a.m. Now, I don't live that far from there, but I was like a little bit late, which that makes sense. But then I rode up and I ended up connecting with another friend of mine. And so her daughter, we started following Kim Edmondson. Well, if you follow Kim Edmondson, you're going down the hill, which means the only way up is up the steep hill. And that hill is extremely steep, or the steps. And Gwen and I decided we were taking the steps. And I thought, I'm going to kill Kim Edmondson. But it was a great workout. We had a great time. And then I thought I would do my loop and go to my car. And I ran into Kim Edmondson. And I had the nerve to open my mouth and say, girl, I'm walking straight out there. She said, that's not 2 miles, sis. You got 2 miles. You got to keep going. And I thought earlier she said, just do what you can. But she pushed me, and I thank her for that because I've been exercising ever since. So thank you, Kim Edmondson. She said, don't follow me. Listen, girl, I will never follow you again on that. But it was real refreshing. And I want to say this to everyone. Keep your body moving. Keep your body moving. I saw Shirley Nicholson and her husband out there walking. Listen, keep your body moving. And if you're in one of the hot places right now, make sure you are staying hydrated. I guess here in Central Ohio, I guess in the 96, and they said it's going to feel like 102, I believe. Stay hydrated. Do what you can. Don't overextend yourself. But y'all, health is important to all of us. I see you, Fred Jones. Good morning to you. And Fred Jones and Latrice Jones had me on the dance floor on Saturday celebrating their son Isaac. What a great time we had. And that rounded out all of my grad parties. So there it is. All right, y'all. Netanyahu dissolved the Israel War Cabinet on yesterday. He made the decision after 2 of the 5 members of the cabinet assembled during the war in Gaza early days quit recently over his handling of the war. So people are saying they don't even like the way he's handling it at all. So there's that. Hey, Samsung users, y'all know I'm coming after y'all with everything I have. ARS Technical reports that the Apple battery supplier TDK is claiming a breakthrough in materials used in its small solid state batteries, with the Apple supplier predicting significant performance that will increase for all of its devices, from wireless headphones to smart watches to iPhones. Hello, somebody, like the battery just won't ever end. So let me just put that out there for you Samsung users. Y'all be hating on people. My nephew and my brother and them was hating on me on Saturday at my parents' house for Father's Day. Excuse me, because I was the only Apple user. I was like, that's because we special. And they were like, yeah, you special. And I'm like, I am special, aren't I? But they were being funny. But anyway, Kim Edmondson said, whatever, Apple. Listen, y'all better recognize. Look, Apple moved to first place, y'all, as the most profitable technical company. Yeah, they beat out Microsoft as of Friday. So remember, NVIDIA kind of took their place and moved Apple to number 3. That was 2 weeks ago. Well, Apple now is reigning over all of them. So just put that out there. All right, y'all. CBS News. Fred Jones. That's what I'm talking about. Come on, Team Apple. Yeah, we're gonna do something. I have a thought with that. We'll have to see what we're gonna do when we get back into September when we come back. Speaking of that, before I get to CBS News, and I can't wait. And I'm rushing through this news because I really need to get Derek on here. What's up, Latrice Jones? Y'all, Latrice Jones. I'm gonna say this publicly because I support the Jones. I'm a part of their family. They try to get rid of me. They can't. I'm a fixture in their family. Okay. First of all, Misha, y'all remember when we were doing some countdowns on food? Y'all, this is anniversary week. I'm gonna go and do whatever I want to. Okay. I deserve it. It's been 4 years and we've been making it. But listen, Misha has had some. And Dr. Anderson says I just got on iPhones. You ain't gonna miss it. Give it another 24 hours. You're gonna love it, sister. You're gonna love it. But listen, Misha, we remember from our food countdown, we used to like frown at her vegan food. Listen, sis made some greens and some macaroni and cheese to make you want to slap somebody. I will never talk about vegan food again or turn my nose up. And of course, I went up initially and said, I'm going to just get like a handful of greens and a handful, like a spoonful, just say I went back in line. Like, and if it's gone, I'm going to be mad. And I had to get more. So y'all don't frown on vegan food. Misha tore that up. She did. And so then my family, y'all know the story of Isaac. And he graduated. Miracles, y'all, miracles. Never listened to the doctors, never ever listened to the doctors. And I believe his grade point average, if I remember correctly, was a 4.3. Fred and Latrice, I want us to congratulate them. You can come in here and tell me the thing, Isaiah. You can tell me what his grade point average is. What's his grade point average?
It was a 3.7.
3.7. Okay, thank you. So 3.7, y'all. That was his grade point average. So there was a breakout in the party where the whole place was singing. I mean, it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And then they had a liturgical dancer dance. Unbelievable. I really wanted to get up and just I wanted to punch Latrice. Like, why you set us up like that? But it was such a beautiful, beautiful time. Y'all, we have to celebrate. And the other thing I want to say here, again, it's anniversary, I can say whatever I want to. The other thing I want to say here is that never count anybody out. Never count them out. Never say, oh, that's, they just being wishful or hopeful. Listen, the prayers of the righteous availeth much. And to see that young man, and to see his excitement, I'm going to get really emotional, so I won't. But to celebrate him, to end my graduation cycle of parties with Isaac Jones and the Jones family, couldn't have been any better. The day before Father's Day, a Black male accomplishing what he has accomplished was just outstanding. Latrice said we would never get rid of Auntie Gail. You are a true staple. Listen, I ain't going nowhere. Y'all can try to get rid of me. I ain't going nowhere. Kim Edmondson says, Team Isaac. Latrice says, Isaac loves seeing everyone. Y'all blessed us immensely. Rosanna says, congratulations, Isaac. And Fred says, I would have had a freestyle battle rap competition. Listen, it was amazing. It was amazing. And I take my time to pause and to share that. And I make no apologies for doing that. So, and that's news. That's news. News is when you want to bring something to the forefront and communicate that with people. And the news is never count anybody out. Ever count anybody out. CBS News, Photoshop maker Adobe sued by Federal Trade Commission for allegedly pushing consumers toward expensive subscription plans without disclosing cancellation fees. Do I get my money back? Because I had no idea that we were getting the fees that we were getting. When I read that, I really did send them an email like, do I get some money back? Like, what's happening here? So, y'all, The Verge is reported the government has slapped the software company that makes Photoshop and Acrobat, Adobe, with a lawsuit claiming it deceived consumers and shunting them into expensive annual subscription plans and hiding the cancellation fees in the fine print. The suit filed in California federal court seeks civil penalties and an injunction and more. Adobe told TechCrunch it plans to fight back in court, and its general counsel called its subscription terms transparent and its cancellation process simple. It is not simple. It's not simple, because I actually left Adobe and went to Canva, and to get out of that was crazy. The other one they need to probably look at is Etsy. I've been trying to get out of Etsy for 2 years, and I can't. And they'll send me emails like I'm back in. I'm like, I'm not back in here. I don't know why y'all keep sending me emails. And you can't talk to anybody. It's ridiculous, and we need to look at that. And along the same lines, I want to share with everyone, look at your cable packages and your subscriptions. Like now with Spectrum, Disney and Disney Plus is now included in that, and I think even Hulu. So don't keep paying separate costs. Always check your subscriptions. I think they bet on us to sign up for a subscription and then go away. Like forget all about it and just keep paying it. No, y'all, follow up on those things. When you start thinking about your financial resources and your dollars and where your dollars are going, I think you'll look at it differently. It's like, give me my money. Like, where is this going? When this comes up, then cancel this one. And then set a date for cancellation as well. I see you, Virgie, coming in here. So y'all, talking about AI, and we're going into our guest in a moment. The restaurant business is reporting. I'm like, that had do the same thing with Wendy's for real. I'm actually going to give up all this fast food. I think I'm going to go vegan. Make sure. But anyway, y'all, McDonald's will ask the AI voice ordering system. It's been testing at over 100 drive-through locations through a partnership with IBM established in 2021. But the restaurant business reported said that AI has been messing up the majority of the orders. Like they're messing them up. They're not getting it. And I think, y'all, that's the human feel. That's just like when I'm going through the cell phone calling people, it's like, give me customer service, please, because nobody's responding. There's a disconnect there. So TikTok has been flooded with videos of McDonald's drive-through messing up, and they're just talking about it. One customer got 9 sweet teas added to her order despite requesting just one, but AI kept picking up on the audio saying, you want 9, you want 9, and she kept saying, I want 1, I want 1. And so she has this video recording, and no matter what she's saying, AI kept saying, you want 9, you want 9, like trying to force 9 drinks on the woman. So that's what's happening, and I think we're going to see more and more of this as this rolls out. All right, y'all, the former guy, AP News Report, I'm sure you've probably seen this everywhere. The former guy kicked off his Blacks for Trump campaign at a Black church in Detroit. It was the 180 Church. Now, the crowd was very small, but those in the crowd, although Kellyanne Conway say there were thousands of people, it's like, girl, didn't you get enough of this the last time? But the people took pictures. The majority of the church were white conservative supporters of Donald Trump, okay? There was probably about 9 Black people in the church. And yeah, that happened. So he talked about rap music. He talked about barbecue cookouts. Like, what is wrong with you? And they were talking about the organization of the Black Conservative Federation Group. Now, Trump says, and I quote, this is a very important area for us. And he talks about the significant number of people in there. But when they panned the room, it was a significant number of Caucasian people in the church. And he argued that the Black community is being hurt by immigrants in the country illegally. And he says, and I quote, they're invading your jobs. That's what he says. He's saying they are invading your jobs. Well, if we just take a look at Mar-a-Lago, who is he hiring? And we need to pay attention to who he is hiring. Dr. Antoinette said maybe there was a Black wall in the back because there certainly weren't a lot of Black people. No, they said it has come out from a church member who's really upset with the pastor that there was like 8 or 9 of them, and that's including the pastoral staff, which means the congregation, I guess, did not show up. So as we're going into Juneteenth, and you can come on in here, Derek. Adrian said that was a failed stunt. It was a failed stunt. Come on in here, Pastor Holmes. I think he's coming there. He's cracking up though. It's just crazy, right? It's just crazy. Yeah. It's just crazy. And y'all, I thought today was great. Instead of doing Juneteenth on Juneteenth, I know we have Heidi coming in to share with us tomorrow. I wanted to talk about preparations. Again, we're talking also about Project 2025, which y'all, by the way, everybody's talking about it if y'all haven't noticed, but we talked about it over a year ago and been like alerting you all about this. But Pastor Holmes, first of all, congratulations again of being becoming the pastor of Union Grove Baptist Church in Columbus, Ohio. And everyone, those of you who want to support him, his installation is on Sunday, June the 30th at 3 p.m. Now, I wouldn't show up at 3 p.m. I'm probably like park and show up at like 2 p.m. Maybe 1:45. But congratulations to you. And I just want to hear from you today. But before I do that, welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us.
I appreciate that. I have so much love for you and this platform. I love News in Motion. And by the way, before we go any further, congratulations on 4 years. I think that is absolutely amazing. To be able to have something, anybody can start a thing. That's kind of the reality of where we are now. But to have something that has longevity and sustainability and relevance and meaning and impact and all of those things, that's just a testimony to the work you're doing. So shout out to you. And by the way, I remember you talking about Project 2025 early before anybody else in the country was talking about it. So
remember, people thought I was lying.
You were here first.
Remember, people thought I was lying, thinking I made it up. They were like, "Oh, girl, you done made that up."
Nah, okay. That's the thing. Hashtag that happened. That was the thing. That happened. Look.
You and I had conversations about it.
Absolutely.
I'm like, where have people been? Like, I don't get it. But I'm glad people are talking about it. But I just wonder if it's too late for some now, because who's going to sit down and read in the summer 1,000 pages?
Well, it's never too late. There's a saying that says something about better late than never. And I think with this election in particular, the longest election cycle in the history of American politics, we definitely want to be paying attention to the ridiculousness of Project 2025 and the undoing of certain things so that way other people can maintain their power. That's just, we're in a real curious and dangerous place in terms of American democracy. We really are. Really are.
And, I'm trying not to become fearful, but the stuff that I read on a daily basis, that's why I'm taking the break that I'm taking. It's a lot. It is a lot.
Well, I think what we have to do is, I think it's okay to have a healthy fear, right? But I think what should undergird that is what's at stake, right? It was what you were saying just a second ago. We spent a lot of time talking about go out and vote, go out and vote, go out and vote, take somebody with you, go out and vote, register to vote, check, go out and vote. And by the way, go out and vote, right? Like we talk about it ad nauseum. But I think for the generations behind us that regardless of party people are most concerned about, it's not necessarily the politics because they're disinterested in that. And it's not necessarily going and pushing a button. You have to dig deeper. And I think the opportunity is to really talk to what's at stake.
Yeah.
I think when you talk about what's at stake, I think that brings the right type of momentum to the poll. If you tell somebody to vote, the truth is I have a choice, right? And if I've been on the downside of advantage, if I've been at the bottom of a thing, if I've had my vote thrown out, right, for like brothers and sisters or brothers and sisters in Texas or most of the South, where the Black vote is kind of disregarded in certain types of ways. And that's not bias, that's just a fact, right?
Yeah.
It might be hard to just tell somebody to go vote. The response is often, oh, well, my vote doesn't matter. But if you tell somebody that, one, it does matter, but two, this is what's at stake. What's at stake is that we can have our fundamental rights dismantled. What's at stake is that we can take step backward that we might not be able to make back up. What's at stake is is that we can really literally go back to the 50s and 40s and 30s as it relates to persons of color. What's at stake is that geopolitically the country could be in danger because of a demagogue that desires to hold the highest office in land. When we have those conversations, then it becomes emergent. So I think the fear is healthy. I think we talked about it when we were on here before. I do think there's an opportunity to make sure we're taking care of ourselves while we do that. So be afraid. And if you need a break, that's okay. And if you need to unpack for a minute, that's okay. And if you need to log off for a minute, that's okay, right? Yeah. Take care of yourself. But I do think there are no unimportant elections in the community. There are no unimportant elections in America, and there are no unimportant elections in the Black community. And so I think we should absolutely be talking about what's at stake and let that push us to the poll.
Yeah. And that takes me into Juneteenth tomorrow. And I know I sent out, for everyone who receives the Friday rundown, I sent out the packet of information from When We All Vote. You were to click that button, and then that button gave you everything you should, if you're wanting to be a part of it. You completed that, and there was no need of us making up our own thing for News in Motion. When we see opportunity, we're going to partner with people, because I believe that's where it is, in partnering with others. So if you did not get that information, just inbox me or something, but you have to sign up for the Friday rundown, because that's where we put everything. And it's going to be taking place tomorrow, where you have an opportunity to register people to vote. And Kim Edmondson says, say that there's so much at stake. It is. And for example, the other day I was at Target. Yes, I was at Target. And, I have this, I protest against checking myself out. I don't do it because I don't work there. You don't pay me. I'm not doing it. And so the line was kind of long. So I think other people are starting to feel me on this. There was a young Black man with a little boy in his cart. And he said, ma'am, can I step? I said, go ahead. And I said, he's cool. He ran and got it. So I struck up a conversation with him. And I said, hey, how old are you? He said, 19. I said, you registered to vote? He said, no. He said, because I don't have time when I get off of work. I said, open your phone. I said, go to iwillvote.com. And he did it. And he said, I can do it right here. So you can do it right here before we get up there, because you got about another 5 minutes in this line. And he registered. But then he said these words, Pastor Home. He said, I can now vote for my idol. I said, who's your idol? When he called that other man's name, I said, the felon of 34 times. He said, he's a felon. He didn't even know. He's been so oblivious to everything. And he said, but I just can't vote for the other person. And I said, why? And he said, his age. And so we had a conversation around that. And he said, so what can I do? Because I don't want to vote for either one of them at this. I said, well, then write somebody in, but exercise your right to vote. Now, I said, I hope you go, one way. I said, but you got to do what's ever best for you, because I can't tell you how to vote or who to vote for, but become educated behind that. But even that alone, when we're going into Juneteenth, there's this big push on tomorrow to make sure you're registered to vote or register people to vote, is to take the time and let folks know you don't have to go to BMV. You can do it right from your phone. And I think so many people have no idea about that. So with that, let me ask you this question. Why do you think that Juneteenth has relatively been unknown for Americans for so long? And why now people are like, let me jump on the bandwagon? Like, where does that come from? Is it because, again, we're not having these conversations?
Well, I think it's twofold. So I think on one end, we have to be honest about the landscape that we live in. We live in a moment, and quite frankly, it's kind of the modus operandi of American history to operate in a revisionist type of way. So when the American story happens, we tell the parts that sound good. We tell the parts that make the nation state look good. We say that Christopher Columbus discovered a land when there were people already here. And by the way, not just indigenous persons, but also Africans, right? Like, so that's just the function as such. And so if we're leaving out parts of the story, then maybe this part of American history, where not only the realities of what led to Juneteenth happened, but the implications behind them deeply paint a troublesome picture for those who want to hold to a certain view of America, then that happens. So I think that's part of the reason why we don't have the conversations. I think the other reason why we don't have the conversations is because of the way in which we kind of process information, right? There's been this long separation between kind of the conscious movement, right, and what it means to be quote unquote woke, right, and then kind of conventional living. So there are a lot of folk, black, white, otherwise, who get to a point where that type of revolutionary edge doesn't fit their societal context. So I don't necessarily need all that liberation talk because I'm doing good and I live in this space, right? Now, I'll give you an example of what I'm saying. So I'm from New York. I'm born and raised in the Bronx, right? In fact, my hat is right over there. Shout out to the Bronx, right? Like, I grew up knowing about Juneteenth. I didn't realize that people didn't celebrate it until maybe a couple of years ago, right? Because in my house, we celebrated Juneteenth every year. And there was a Juneteenth parade and we celebrated in our home. Our teachers talked about it, right? But why did that happen? There was representation in the classroom and there was representation and consciousness in the community. And that level of education started at home, right? So I think all of those things lend to why it's not talked about in a certain type of way. And what I think is happening now, given all that's happening in our country, there's a certain awakening that's taking place, right? Where people are unpacking and really digging into information. Part of that is the fact that you have mediums like a News in Motion that makes information easy to ingest, right? And so I think that level of information being more accessible to people is why it's being celebrated in more of a productive way now than in years past.
Okay. So as a community, what can we do? Like, how can we come outside of our individual homes and participate? Now, we get through this thing like support Black business. We should be supporting Black businesses every day. Maybe it's going to a cultural event. Maybe it's having a community, I don't know, voter registration. Maybe it's having a community roundtable where we're discussing it. What can we do when we're looking at, it's not just your day off. We know a lot of things are going to be closed tomorrow. You're not going to get mail tomorrow. You're not, things are going to, can't go to the post, whatever. Yeah. But what can we do instead of saying, I'm going to clean up my house, I'm going to change the clothes in my closet, whatever. Speak to us about that to empower us to move beyond our everyday, what we fall back on doing.
Well, let me give a bit of context and I'll answer what it is that you're saying, right? So fast forward to New Year, or rewind back to New Year's 1863, when our ancestors were gathered in churches praying that Abraham Lincoln would sign the Emancipation Proclamation, right? This is where we get the tradition in the Black church of the watch night experience, right? So praying, and then on New Year's, he signs this legislation. What most people miss when we have conversations about slavery is that it was legal. It's not just one people having a problem with another group of people. Certainly the marginalization matters, but we should understand that you were operating in your legal right to own other people. It was a norm, no different than you having the legal right to walk up the street. Like, it was that type of function. So he signs the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. It's an executive order is what we would call it present day, right? When he signs that, there's still the Civil War going on. So for another 2 years, even though the president signed an executive order, right, there were states that did not ascribe to what the president said. Isn't that crazy, by the way, that the president said something and then there were other states that didn't do what that doesn't happen in 2000.
And we still with Texas. Texas is still keeping suit today.
Right. In particular, Texas, right? Texas, because they do not respond appropriately to what the president has made by way of executive order, now becomes a safe haven for slaveholders. And so literally there were slavers who would take Africans to Texas because they knew that Texas was a safe haven to do whatever it is they want to do. By the way, isn't that crazy that in Texas, they've made up their mind that they can do whatever they want to do? That doesn't happen in 2024 either. I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. But we end up for another 2 years, even though the president has said that slavery is abolished, right? It's not until the Civil War ends, right? And now they have no choice but to go ahead to give in to what the president says, to where General Order 3 is given, and now slaves or Africans are now emancipated. By the way, just as a side note, this is the backdrop for what happens with the 13th Amendment. So think about this with me for a moment. I promise I'm getting ready to answer your question. So you
Take
have
your time.
You have all of these Africans who have been enslaved, and they are doing the work of building a nation, right? And they're doing it for free. Now they all have to be free. How in the world do I make sure that they can still do this work now that they're free? Because I don't want to do it myself. I'll go ahead and have the 13th Amendment that says that now that they're free with no place to go and nowhere to live and nowhere to find a job right away, I'll make everything that they have to do illegal. So that way I can incarcerate them and then make all the stuff that they were doing as slaves punishment now that they're incarcerated. This is the backdrop for the prison industrial complex. So when Gail asked the right question, how should we be celebrating Juneteenth? There are a couple things that we should be doing. The first thing that we should be doing on a fundamental level is that we should be supporting business. This is the easiest low-hanging fruit to be supporting Juneteenth. If you know of a Black business, if you know of someone who's doing a thing, if you know someone who has an enterprise that they're trying to get off the ground, in the name of Juneteenth, you should absolutely be celebrating that and you should be supporting them, because one of the ways that we move towards liberation is that we're able to increase our wealth. And one of the ways that we increase our wealth in our community is by supporting Black business. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying that you should settle for bad business. I don't want you to be mistreated, and we should absolutely think about where our dollars go when we support businesses. But what I am saying is that we should not fall into the trap of measuring our businesses in ways that are different from how we measure other people's business. If we can support Walmart, where a dollar doesn't go to our community, we can absolutely support somebody else who is in our community, and those resources go right back to us in the name of liberation. So we should absolutely be supporting Black business. On a second level, what we should be doing even deeper is that we should be attending a Juneteenth event. Listen, all around the country, there are events that are happening celebrating Juneteenth. There are festivals that are highlighting Black culture. At the church that I have the privilege of serving, we had a whole Juneteenth celebration. There was African drum, there was spoken word, there was dance, there was music, there was praying. It was black, blackity, black, and it was in support of Juneteenth, highlighting our culture. And the reason why you want to support that is because it gives the visage that we are equal in our participation in the nation state, that we are not separate from it, that just like others from other communities have festivals, we can have a festival too, and that can be supported and seen as equal. So not only should we support Black business, but we should absolutely be attending some type of Juneteenth event and really holding up and celebrating it. Take a picture, take a selfie, post it, share it with other folk. And part of the reason why that is so important is because festivals need participation in order to continue. So when we support festivals, when we support events that are connected to Juneteenth, then they can grow and they can become bigger. And it's healthy for us to hold space where we can just be us. Here's the third thing that I think everybody should be doing for Juneteenth. The third thing that everyone should be doing for Juneteenth is that we have to recommit to resist oppression. This one doesn't cost any money. This one doesn't require you to burn any gas in your car. But for Juneteenth, we should be committed to resisting oppression. And by resisting, I mean deconstructing oppression. We should be taking this stuff down. Listen, if you do this work, if you're committed to justice and righteousness, you can get tired. You can get frustrated, irritated, aggravated, agitated, all of the cousins of hated. You can have that happen along the way. And we should be allowing Juneteenth to encourage us and rejuvenate us and restore us in a way to where we continue fighting on in whatever way we can. So we should be supporting Black business on Juneteenth. We should be attending some type of Juneteenth event, and we should definitely make a personal recommitment every single year to resist oppression until we get to liberation.
I love all of that. And can we dive deeper just a little bit in supporting Black businesses? Because I think some people lose track of that. And I'm glad you raised what you raised a few moments ago. But I think people think they have the only thing they can do is buy a product. Well, maybe it is giving to I think about here, Motherful with single moms, single parents, like give to that organization. I think about some of the, what they call them, where they have books on the corners in different neighborhoods that you can go and take out a book and bring a book back. Well, go and find out who's running that and donate some books there to help with that. Can you go just a little deeper on how you identify Black businesses, please?
Well, I'll do two things. One of the ways that we can identify Black businesses is the same way that we look for businesses that aren't Black. We have an internet at our disposal. It is, at this point in American history, it is insanely easy to find a Black business close to you. In fact, you would be surprised how many Black entrepreneurs there actually are out there. In fact, there's a whole generation younger than both of us that have really made up in our mind that they don't want anyone to have a boss. They don't want to be under anybody, and they'd rather just be their own employer. Gig economy is a real thing in 2024, right? So it is so easy to find Black business. We just have to be willing to look for it. But you said something key that I want to highlight. When you're talking about supporting Black business, we live in a capitalist society, so money matters, right? And I'm not discrediting the importance of capital, but there are other ways that you can support a Black business. So for many of us, if we go to a business and we get bad service or something happens that we don't like, or if we see something that we feel misrepresents us in a certain type of way, we just write them off. We are in a moment of time where we can't afford to write anybody off. I could imagine supporting a business by using your resource to help what it is that they're trying to do. So if you have experience in PR, if you have experience in media, if you have experience in marketing, and you see a business that's struggling with theirs, go and help them in the name of us getting there together. Try to figure out what the arrangement is. It's not about getting ahead of a dollar, but we are better when we're together. And what does it mean to support in that way? Maybe supporting a business is seeing a business or somewhere else where they need help, where they just need manpower, and volunteering your time for an hour just to help out with that, right? Maybe it means that you know that there's a school, right, in a community. Here's a good one, because we are in a moment where the business of education is a real thing. There are Black people that are opening schools all across the country. What would it mean for you to take an hour and just go volunteer at that school? Now you're operating on two levels. You're helping a business and you're helping education, right? So I don't want to just marginalize support to just being money. Money matters. Listen, and if you feel led, bring your money. And absolutely, we should be supporting mediums that support us. I'll give you a real quick example. Like if there's a pod that comes on a couple of times a week and has been doing it for 4 years and is talking about relevant information and gives you news that you can take with you, right? One of the ways that you support that is with your dollar, right? And making a financial contribution, because this ain't cheap, right? Someone just hashtag in the thread, this ain't cheap. Listen, just do me a favor, just put it in the chat, hashtag this ain't cheap. That's one of the ways that you can support. One of the other ways that you support is that you log on and watch. One of the other ways that you support is that you share and you tell other people to watch. One of the other ways that you support is that you show up for mimosas on a Friday where we actually get to sit and talk about different things, right? One of the ways that we support is that we not only watch and consume, but we also participate. So I don't want to marginalize our support of our institutions in that way. You can support with your treasure, but you can support with your time and your talent too. And I think when we're doing that, those are the best ways to navigate support.
I like they putting it in there too. This ain't cheap.
Look, support.
It's so funny because I think people, and I'm glad you raised that. First of all, thank you for saying that. But it's so interesting because people, I believe, think it's just an iPhone or a Samsung and you're on the air. No, we're streaming and you pay for streaming. And it streams to a LinkedIn. It streams to a YouTube. It streams and you have to pay the streaming services to get their streaming to the audio listeners. It's streaming. And then on top of that, the number of hours, I don't think people are computing like what everything that's coming together to make it happen. But even those who just grab a phone and walk down the street, it's not cheap for them either, because they're still paying their cell phone bill. They're still paying the different things. And I think our mindset, Pastor Holmes, also has to change with so many people. And I think that's why I do what I do when I'm encouraging and highlighting other businesses, because it's like, if I'm just one voice that can highlight you, I will do so. So how do you see Juneteenth?
Just real quick. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, think about it like this. How much do you give money to that actually doesn't make you better? That's the way to be thinking about it. How much do you actually give your money to that if we're being honest, really doesn't make you better. You give your money to McDonald's, but the truth is it doesn't make you better, right? You give your money to streaming platforms that you barely watch, right? And you don't even cut them off. It really doesn't make you better. You give your money to Adobe and they make it real hard for you to take your money back, right? Legally now, right? That it doesn't really make you better. What would it mean to support?
I want them to give me my money, man. We gotta just keep it real, right?
Straight up.
So I have two other questions. I know we're running out of time, but hey, it's the anniversary week. I'm gonna take my time. And I lost it. What role? This is what I want to ask. What role do you think Juneteenth plays in fostering a sense of community and identity among African Americans? Because for whatever reason, Pastor Holmes, we are not unified. It's like, to some degree, if I didn't know any better, I would think that we're here to attack each other, but that's not what we should be doing at all. So can we come together around a Juneteenth to really begin to identify and support and understand and love and lean into one another?
I absolutely think so. I think you're spot on. I think when we talk about the value of Juneteenth in terms of reinforcing community, I think it's important that we push back against the notion that when we have things that are ours, that we're being discriminatory. That's not the truth. The truth is that we can love everybody, but certain things are just ours, right? That it's okay to have community festivals that are just ours and places where we can unpack the best of our culture, right? Not the things that the culture says we are, but the best and the most beautiful of our culture. And I think Juneteenth and the celebration of Juneteenth creates space for that across the spectrum of what it means to be Black. So there's the resistive element, and then there's the fun element, and there's the cookout element, and there's the dance element, and there's the creative element, and there's the intellectual element, and there's the worshipful element, right? There are all these other things that we get to hold up and make ours, in the same way that HBCUs highlight the best of Black culture on a regular basis, in the same way that the Black church at its best highlights the best of Black culture in certain types of ways, in the same way that our musicians and our artists and our entertainers highlight the best of Black culture in a way. I see Juneteenth as a necessary wedge in doing that also. And when we can do that, and when we can come together and do that, and when I don't have to put myself together to do it, when I don't have to code switch in order to participate in it, when I don't have to put on certain clothes to do it, I can just be my full self, and I'm around other people being their full selves. I think that's the thing that really solidifies community. And when we're together in that way, when it doesn't matter what you brought with you as long as you came, when we're doing that, that's actually what it means to be African, by the way. But when we do that, then there's nothing that stops us, because now it's not one person or it's not 5 people. No, it's a whole community coming together. And when a community comes together and moves forward, that's actually how a community changes.
Yeah, can I do a hashtag code switch? That was good. Hashtag code switch. Like, don't code switch. So let me ask this question. I'm going to let you take us into the inspirational message, and then we're out of here, everyone. Again, y'all, tomorrow we will have Heidi, so please join us for that. We're going to be talking about immigration. We're also going to be celebrating Juneteenth tomorrow as well. And then Thursday, we're just going to have a great time celebrating the 4 years. And I'm going to highlight things that we've done over the last 4 years as well. But with that, as I pass this off to you to answer this question and to go into the inspirational message, how can people, because there's a lot of fight, there's a lot of argument. I don't know if you've been following D.L. Hughley or not, but there's a lot of social media fighting going on about if people from different backgrounds should be participating and supporting Juneteenth celebration. It's the craziest argument out there. And can just Black people take the day off and not white? It's crazy. I really want you to speak to that, because we just cannot continue this infighting and ongoing fighting and community fighting. It's like, let's take a stand and stop allowing people, even if it's our own people, to divide us. So speak to that, I'm going to thank you now because I won't be back on here today. I'm going to let you take us all the way out of here. But thank you for always hanging out with us. Thank you for speaking truth. Thank you for elevating the work of the people in the community. Thank you for your social justice work, your grassroots movement work, your uplifting, your voter registration, voter education, voter participation. I cannot thank you enough for the strategies that you speak into us and the viewers here at News in Motion and the work that you're doing. And we're going to roll up on you on June the 30th at 3 p.m. at Union Grove Baptist Church. But if you would answer that question and lead us into the inspirational message, again, thank you. And I'll see you in the green room afterwards.
Well, thank you so much, Gail. And I love you to life, and I love the medium to life too. I love News in Motion. It's been a privilege. It is a privilege to be able to serve and support, I think, the world of this spot. I really do. And I thank you for the work that you do, that you don't have to do, that you choose to do. And it's only upward from here. It's only upward from here.
Thank you.
Let me answer that because I think it's a great question. Listen, when we talk about oppression and what we talk about it, what we often don't talk about are the things that we take from it. That there are certain things that happen when you've been oppressed for so long that you don't mean to, you just end up replicating them. So if you've been segregated for so long, then you tend to segregate. When you been discriminated against for so long, then you tend to discriminate. And I think one of the things that we have to be careful of as we move towards liberation, we have to be careful not to embody and deploy the same tactics that were used to marginalize us. I say that to say this, that when we talk about Juneteenth, and whether or not other people should celebrate it and recognize it, I think other people should. That's just my opinion, but I think other people should recognize. Other people have the license to be able to hold it up. What I don't think should happen, and what I think we should be aware of, and where I think DL is kind of talking to this, is we have to be careful of how people co-opt our thing. So we can still have you come to the cookout, but you can't claim the cookout like it's yours, right? Like we have to be able to do more than one thing at one time, and we can make sure that we're not discriminating against anybody, but to also own that our event and our holiday and what it means to our people and the highlight of our culture and where we are in terms of the movement doesn't give way to other people's agenda, because co-opting of our culture never works out for us. So I say everybody should celebrate Juneteenth, but when you celebrate it, make sure that you're celebrating it knowing that this is a Black thing. And you might not even understand. In fact, if you're celebrating it and you're not part of our community and somehow we are not included in it, then you are celebrating it wrong. So Juneteenth for everybody, but be clear, it's not yours. So that's my 2 cents around it. Listen, there may be someone who's on here right now who has not made it to Bible study. And if you haven't made it to Bible study, I would love for you to take a brief moment when you get some time to go into the Gospel according to John in the 8th chapter and the 33rd verse. It is such an interesting text. Jesus is having conversation with Jewish brothers and sisters who are now deciding to follow Jesus. It's amazing with Jesus, because when you follow Jesus, Jesus changes everything. It's so cool that when you're in the presence of Jesus that you do not stay the same. Jesus is in conversation with Jewish brothers and sisters around what it means to actually be a follower of Jesus Christ. And he's talking to them. He gives them the truth around that. If you understand me, if you hold to my teaching, then you'll know the truth. But in that 8th chapter, in the 33rd verse, there is a verse there that fascinates me listlessly. Here's what it says. It says that the people answered Jesus back that we are descendants of Abraham and have never been slaves of anyone. Did you hear that? It says in John 8 in the 33rd verse that we are descendants of Abraham and have never been slaves of anyone. It exposes a certain truth. If Jesus is talking about knowing Jesus is knowing truth, and they understand themselves that in their lived experience they've never been slaves, then what it actually unpacks is that you should be able to expose the lies that we live under. I wonder, just as a parenthetic thought, what lies do we as American Africans, we as African Americans, we as those who have been kissed by nature's son, what lies have we been living under? We live under the lie that we're lazy, even though we built a whole nation for free. We live under the lie that we aren't worthy, that we are less than, and that's why we have less than resources, and that's why we have substandard function in our schools and our communities. We live under the lie that we are violent and that we are ignorant, which is why we are incarcerated at disproportionate rates than other people. Isn't it amazing how many lies that we live under? We live under lies that say that men aren't valuable in the home, that we don't know how to father, don't know how to take care of our children. We live under lies that our women, our sisters, our queens are ratchet and hood and loud and have to tap their head all the time and smack their teeth in order to have a conversation. We live under lies that say that to be Black is to be unprofessional. We live under lies every single day, and the reinforcement of those lies end up building up structures that we have to figure out how to survive under. We live under those lies, so the prison industrial complex is a real thing. We live under lies, so Black people make less money than white people and Black women make less money than everybody. We live under those lies. But they say in John in the 8th chapter and the 33rd verse that because I'm a descendant of Abraham, I've never been a slave. And might I invite you on Juneteenth, as we are moving into Juneteenth, to not deal with the lies, but to just own the truth. I don't know how you feel about it, but I am a descendant of Africans and I have never been a slave. Listen, in fact, when we tell that story, I invite you to never tell the story of our people and that pit stop where we had 400 years of oppression, to never call one person there a slave. They were enslaved, but they were not slaves. What does it mean to own that I'm not a slave, that I've never been a slave, and that no one in my family has ever been a slave? Now, they might have been enslaved, but the core of my nature, the core of my being is that I am not a slave. And why does that matter? Because I'm not a slave, because I know where I come from. That's what it says right there in John 8:33. I know where I come from and I have never been a slave. And might we, as the daughters and sons of God, know where we come from and know that we have never been slaves. We have given civilization to civilization. We have given mathematics and arithmetic and Christianity, by the way, to the rest of the world. We are the descendants of Massa Musa and Nefertiti. We are of Malcolm and Martin and Betty and Coretta. We are brilliant and bold and beautiful and anointed and audacious. But the one thing that we never have been is that we have never been slaves. I don't know how you feel about it, but I ain't never been no slave. And I need you to know that you ain't never been no slave. Listen, that because we know who we are, that we are children of the Most High, that we are children of God, that we are heads and not tails, above and not beneath, that we are lenders and not borrowers, that we should identify ourselves not by the lies that are told, but the truth of who we are in God, that we are children of the Most High. And in that we have never been slaves. Happy Juneteenth, my brother. Happy Juneteenth, my sister. But might you engage this day and every other day knowing that you are nothing more and nothing less than what God created you to be. And I dare you to testify that we have never, ever, ever been slaves. I love you with the love of Jesus and a bunch of my own love too. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Motion.